Good morning, sports fans. This Saturday morning, July 17th, 2010. You're listening to the Cheap Seats Sports Open Line on 96.3 WLCN. My name is Cameron Kurtz, and sitting to my right, as always, Mr. Josh Komnick.
Yeah, Cameron, beautiful day out here at Lincoln Chrysler Dodge Jeep, and it's going to be a nice day, and couldn't ask for anything better. Huge tent sale going on here at Lincoln Chrysler Dodge Jeep, so everybody come out, and if you've been waiting to buy that Jeep or that minivan or anything like that, come on out, because today is the day for the sale.
And they've even got a pretty sharp-looking Dodge Challenger that's off to our right a little bit. That is the Super Sport RT package that they've got there. It's red with a black stripe going down the front of it. Very sharp-looking vehicle, and great day to...
You'd look good in that, Cameron.
Well, I'd look good in just about anything, but I would really look good in that. Great day for it. Looks like the weather is probably going to hold off. You know, it's relatively pleasant this morning. Checked the temperature before I got out here. It was 79, so we're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to have kind of a roundtable discussion. Got quite a few topics and stories that I want to discuss today, and we've brought in two gentlemen who are big sports enthusiasts in Lincoln and Logan County, and two gentlemen that know sports. Sitting to Josh's right is Steve Ferris, and sitting to my left is Mark Newhouse, a former guest here on the show. And gentlemen, thank you for being out here with us today.
Thanks for having us.
All righty. We're going to go ahead and callers, if you have anything that you want to talk about while we've got the four of us here, this little round table, 648-5510 is the number to call for that. Guys, what do you think about baseball right now, the free agency coming up? A lot of teams trying to make sure they get that end-of-the-month deadline, and your thoughts on it. Steve, we'll start with you.
Well, the Cardinals are right there where I want them to be, so I guess I've got to be happy with the season. But I don't know. I mean, you got to see something coming down the pike. You know, the NFL's going to have their labor dispute and lockout, so, I mean, it's only a matter of time, I think, before you see baseball back into some kind of labor stoppage or work stoppage or maybe even a strike again. So, I don't know. I don't like the way it's going. I don't think baseball's America's sport anymore. I think it's been passed, you know, 2 times over, lapped by the NFL.
Yeah,
so,
I think you're right.
I'm a baseball purist. I mean, you know, if I was stranded on an island and they told me I could only root for one team, it's going to be the Cardinals, even though I'm a football guy to the heart. But I'm a baseball guy, but I don't know. Like I said, the Cardinals are in first right now, so are pretty close to first. They will be, so I don't really have to, you know, too much to complain about. But as far as the way things are going, I mean, it's only a matter of time before it gets worse.
Yeah, I think you're right, Steve. You talk about America's time, and even myself, I was a baseball player growing up and through college and that thing. And to me, I would much rather watch football on Sundays. I think they've captured that audience, like you said, of America. The games are taking way too long. Baseball games are too long. There's a lot more action in the football game, and it seems like they have promoted the NFL with the networks where you can get on your dish and that kind of thing. And I think the NFL's promoted. As far as free agency, I think you're going to see a lot of moves from maybe the Cincinnati Reds, if they have any money left, trying to make maybe a pitcher here or an outfielder here or something like that. The teams that are in contention are going to make their moves, especially I think if you're in the National League now, because and I think that's a question we'll get into. But they take it a little more seriously now, maybe now that they have the home field advantage, where the Reds think they can do some damage and things like that. But obviously you're going to see the Yankees, maybe the Tampa Bay Rays. They don't like to spend a lot of money. They're just going to do with what they have.
Right.
But I think you will see a lot of moves like anything. Of course, Cliff Lee's already gone, and there's going to be a lot more of them, especially to the contention teams or the teams that are right on the bubble for that wild card or for that first place.
Mark, what do you think? Free agency, Cubs fan, what do you think?
I think the Cubs are going to start unloading some of that salary if they can. I look for them Lilly to move on. Fukudome, he can move on. And Derek Lee's in the last year of his contract, and of course he has a no-trade clause, but I'm sure he'd like to go to a contender because Cubs are not a contender.
Right. Mr. Ferris, you're on one of the committees there for Lincoln Youth Football and the football around here. You've got a little business to go over for the people interested in youth football.
Yeah, we start this Monday. That's kindergarten through 8th grade. We've ended sign-ups, but you can still sign up at the field next week at 5:30. We'll be out there every night, but Friday. If you haven't signed up yet, you have 10 days from Monday to get signed up to be able to play. That's kind of a league rule. You have to have so many practices in before you can play a game. That's not really our call. We're not in the business of running people off, but we have to stop it at a certain point.
And that's what fields you guys practice at?
We play at Eaton Fields out there in front of Eaton. We have 2 fields out there. We actually have a scoreboard this year. The high school got a new scoreboard, and they donated their old scoreboard to us.
Good.
So we have bleachers.
All right,
it's starting
good
to
deal.
look like a football field.
Good deal.
Perfect.
We have a caller. Caller, go ahead. You're in the cheap seats.
This isn't about youth football, but do you have any idea what LCHS head football coach Gary Skinner's thoughts are on for the Lincoln football program? Do you know anything about when their first game is?
Okay. The question is, thank you for the call. We appreciate it. The question is regarding Lincoln High School football. Coach Shaner's thoughts. Actually, we were just talking about this during the break. We'll kind of turn over to our resident football expert here this morning, Mr. Ferris. You said that you've been in contact with Coach Shaner quite a bit over the last couple of months. Just real briefly, kind of give our listeners a little bit of what his thoughts are without disclosing too much necessarily. And,
no plays or anything. We just what the team's looking like.
What's Coach been saying?
Well, I'll tell you, we don't talk much about the high school program. We haven't. I've met with Coach Shaner for 1 or 2 and sometimes 3 nights a week since December. We formed a committee. We want to get Lincoln excited about football. We formed a committee with 4 or 5 guys that have a lot of football knowledge, former coaches from here in town, and we decided to implement a program with 4th graders that will start. You will start in 4th grade, and you will run the same system, the same cadence, the same huddle, the same everything, all the way up until high school. And I know he's really excited. Our 8th grade class right now was the first, 2nd, and 3rd youth football class ever started in Lincoln. So starting next year, Shaner should start to see
when those kids are freshmen.
Yes, and he's really excited about it. I think he thinks they're going to have a decent year. I mean, of course, he's not going to come out and guarantee anything. I mean, look at, one thing that really struck me that I was going to point out is I was sitting talking to Shaner. I think Thursday night we had a meeting at the field, and we were just talking, and I told him, I said, do you realize what you could do for this community? And I understand you've got, the pressure that I couldn't imagine having on your back, but do you realize what does Lincoln want right now? The whole community. There's nothing that I can think of that would make this community more excited than to make the Lincoln football team to make the playoffs. I mean, think about it, guys. I mean, since 1927, Lincoln high school football teams have 6 winning records. Think about that.
It is. That's an interesting stat that you bring up.
Historian here.
I mean, that's why I got involved. I mean, honestly, I didn't even have a kid when I had a girl. I didn't have a boy when I got involved with this youth football program, but it just got to the point where, somebody had to do something. You know what I mean? Had to get these kids excited. Now, had to give them a venue.
Now is the time that a lot of people really want to take. Don't necessarily want to say an interest, because there was always an interest in it, but like you say, getting them fired up, and I totally agree with you. Get the younger players, the younger athletes come in, get them running through the system, running the same type of plays, the same offense, same defense, like you said, the same huddle. That goes a long way. That way, when they get into high school, their freshman, sophomore year, okay, they know the system. They're accustomed to it. It's second nature to them. Then by the time they become juniors and seniors, getting on the varsity team, that will contribute to success a little bit more. Second part of that question was their first game. Mentioned a little bit last week as far as breaking down their schedule. The first game, Friday, August 27th, I believe it is. They open up the season against Rochester. Steve, I think you were mentioning during the break, Canton is at the top of that schedule early on in the season. And then, of course, the Central State 8 teams, Jacksonville, Chatham, Lanphier, Springfield, Taylorville, all those teams. We do close out the season against Sacred Heart Griffin, but quite a few interesting things. We'll talk football a little bit more as we get going with the season, but that was a great call.